Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Taylor Cox, and this is Dating in the Digital Age, a podcast about the trials and tribulations of dating in the current digital age we live in, where a young adult with no background in psychology or hopes for success in the current social norms attempts to decrypt the mysteries to why it's so hard to find commitment and companionship. So sit back and enjoy, and let's see if we can unravel this mystery together. Hello, and welcome to Dating in the Digital Age, Episode 3. I've received some amazing feedback from friends about this project of mine, and I'm going to attempt to incorporate everything in this and future episodes. I, in fact, have some interviews lined up that will be airing very soon. I hope that everyone had a happy holiday and an amazing new year. This episode is entitled, Hello, Can You Hear Me? On episode 1, we touched on the cell phone and how it's affected our dating lives and the limiting factors of that device when it comes to really connecting with people. I would like to pull into this episode some facts and history on communication and compare the past to how we communicate now. The forms of communication today are almost limitless. I would like to touch on a form of communication that we are all subconsciously doing and have in common, but many of us have forgotten the way to identify or even use this method to our advantage when dating. This method is nonverbal communication. This is also known as body language. The less in tune you are with your own emotions and body cues, the less likely you are to pick up on your date or even partner's body language. We now spend so much time in front of a screen, we most likely can tell what the refresh rate of a screen is or even guess how many pixels we're looking at. I enjoy going to restaurants, ordering a drink, and observing and finding the first daters and examining how things are going. Some great stories are as follows. I had gone out to a local bar to partake in some trivia. It was around the Christmas party time, so the place was packed. I was standing talking to the bartender, and in walked this very well-dressed, classy-looking girl. She was looking around, obviously for someone. I walked over and said, "I think the Christmas party is out back, if that's what you're here for." She said, "Oh no, I'm meeting someone here." I smiled and said happy holidays, going to sit in my booth. Funny enough, the big guy she was looking for showed up. He was wearing jeans and a t-shirt with a heavy jacket and a hat. They sat down across from me, and of course, I was curious as to how this was going to go. Pleasantries were exchanged, and the body language seemed very natural. She had her hands held with fingers interlaced, and she was leaning into the conversation. He was more relaxed, but still engaged. This is where it all took a turn. The waitress came over and asked if they would like anything to drink. She explained that domestic drafts were only $3.50 till 7. He said, "Oh, what a deal. We'll take 4 Miller Lights and 2 shots of Jack Honey." I almost fell out of my chair. In this order, she looked up, she looked at him, she looked at the waitress as if to ask for help. Then she slid her hands off the table, got very tense, and took a deep breath. Mind you, this all happened in a matter of seconds. I don't want you to think that I'm just staring at them for hours, but when I heard his order, I had to see her reaction. He didn't inquire as to what she would like to drink. If she drinks at all, or even consider the quantity might be a little off-putting. Judging by her reaction, it was. He could have salvaged it by looking up and seeing her posture and recanting his order. She didn't take the shot. She drank the beer, as 4 glasses were on the table. It might have been a great beer deal, but a major deal breaker when it came to this man's attempt at impressing or even dating this girl. What can we glean from this encounter? I would imagine it's a direct effect on this guy's perception of what he thinks women want to see and what the actual truth is. If you date a girl for years and you know her and you both like beer deals and you're going to be around the place for a while and you both want to catch a buzz, this would have been perfectly fine. This guy was very dead set on what he thought the social cues should have been, but he missed the personal ones she was sending out, and I can't imagine another date followed this. When we spend so much time watching our phones and our TVs, we miss out on the real world cues. It's hard to read body language in a movie. This is why the director will use angles or music to motivate the viewer to understand what the feel of the moment is. In life, there are no angles or music that are perpetuating the encounter we're having with this person we've chosen to go on a date with. So we're not in tune naturally, and we miss out on so much free information our partner is trying to tell us. Here, in my opinion, are some very easy to spot body language cues that will help when dating. Where are their hands? Arms crossed is a notorious sign for being in a very defensive position. Arms at the side or on the table with a forward lean is usually a great sign. Where are their legs? If sitting at the bar, most people would have their legs and feet facing the bar. If this is the case, they're a little less engaged than if the posture of the lower body were to be turned facing you. If they're facing away, well, something went wrong. Items. Is her purse still on her shoulder? Are their jackets still on them? Yes, she could be protective of her purse, and yes, they might be cold-natured, but letting down these items is a sign of comfort and opening up. It's less constricting. Considering what we've talked about, I found a study done by M. Latha, the Associate Professor for the Department of English at KL University. In her article, First Impressions, a Study of Nonverbal Communication, she draws a conclusion that we have to make sure we sync up our words with our bodies. She touches on four main points: appearance, body posture, body gesture, and facial expression. I would agree with Latha that those are the major areas of nonverbal communication and should be practiced until they become second nature. Let's move on to something I found recently very interesting, and it applies to our former discussion point. There's an app now in stores called Oh Hi. I think it's an incredible idea, but I don't know yet if it's going to hold any promise. It's a non-typical dating app. On your profile, you record video that answers questions the app has provided for you. I find this to be so funny because you get to watch people watch themselves and give answers, and they can't control their face. None of it seems to be natural. Some are driving cars, and the others, the camera work is way too close, and some of them can't even answer the questions. I'm thinking, holy cow, gold mine for me. I can talk until the cows come home, and I get to display some of my personality on here. As far as swiping right, it's not been easy. I just don't seem to find any interest in anything that people are saying because they aren't really trying. If that's any indication of how the first date is going to go, F that. Also, when people speak, I don't think that they're used to hearing themselves recorded, so you can tell they are speaking very monotone or trying to inflect too much. For anybody wanting to find a different spin on dating apps, it's worth a try, but so far, nothing's come about it for me. Activity seems to be high. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. And again, we might be able to glean some of those nonverbal cues early on in watching these dating videos. The title of the show I gave this episode was Hello, Can You Hear Me? Because I feel sitting across from someone, we're still so disconnected. I propose a challenge. If you have gone on a first date and you really want to try a second one, you should mix up the way you talk. Let's use this cell phone to our advantage. Text a few times, and then when it comes time to set up the next date, FaceTime the person. Make it personal. It's a fantastic way to be engaged and really make yourself stand out. Now remember to smile and make it light, but this will put you miles ahead from the rest of the people who only text it to set up the future dates. With the person never being made really probably feel special. I think that's the point we're going to close on, feeling special. We're also very different when it comes to the way we perceive the world. We thirst for individuality, and yet we all become more or less the same. I have an iPhone, you have an iPhone, you have an Android. We both have 80% of the same apps. Most likely a 25% chance we have the same cell phone provider. We're both single. We both have dating history. Probably some amazing stories of horror dates. So how do you make yourself stand out? I think it comes down to trying, but also not overdoing it. At this point, it's a joke that many comics make, but for men and women alike, we just want to be validated and listened to. Several people I've been on dates with where we discussed what we did for a living and then parted ways at the end of the night texted me 3 or 4 days later asking how the big meeting went. Wait, you remembered in the hours of talking that I had a meeting today and it was of importance? Winning! That goes for everyone. Feeling special is making someone less of a whole and more of an individual. They weren't just another profile out of thousands. With this special individuality when dating, listen to and observe the partner's cues, like we've been talking about. I could tell you from my longest relationship of 7.5 years everything about her at any moment. I knew when she had gotten bad news because of the way she would brush her hair out of the way and the narrowness of her eyes when thinking about what she was going to do about the issue. I could tell when she had something to say because of the semi-tense body posture as if she was holding something behind her back. I knew when she was happy because she would ball her fist as if to hold in the excitement. This was year after year of watching someone go through so many emotional circumstances. I think we could have had a day where nothing was said and we still would have known what the other was thinking. That's the level we should all strive for. No two smiles are the same. No one has the same gait or high five style or blush or nervous tick. And the more we pay attention and react and tend to these nonverbal cues, the more successful we're going to be. To wrap it up, we talked about why it's hard in this day and age to pick up on these nonverbal cues. We discussed what some easy starting signs are to look for. We talked about the way it is to treat someone special and how important it is, and ultimately it leading to dating success. And we also discussed why it's a bad idea to order 4 beers and 2 shots on a first date. As always, I hope that you enjoyed this episode and will join me again soon. Big things on the horizon for this podcast and the start of the new year. Thanks again, and best of luck dating in the digital age.